What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. Kistner, back at it again. Um, I guess not really again, because this is our first remote learning day, but whatever. Happy Friday. Good morning or good afternoon, whenever you are watching this. I hope you're having a great day. Hope you will have a great weekend. I'll say that again at the end, but I want to say it right now, too. We do not have a roll call question right now because we already took roll with our seminars this morning, and also you're all watching this at different times, so that would be silly. So the first thing that I would like you to do is we are going to do some independent reading, just like we would do in a normal class. So the Ed puzzle will pause in just a second, and it'll have a reminder like, "Hey, you're going to." Read for at least 10 minutes right now, and then you can just kind of click continue and you'll keep watching the video. But go ahead and pull out whatever you're reading. Could be a book, could be a magazine, could be an article, whatever you are reading. Pull that out and go ahead and read for at least 10 minutes. Notice I say at least because I will absolutely not turn you down if you want to read for more than 10 minutes. All right, the Ed puzzle should pause right here. All right. Next up, what I would like to do is I'm going to actually explain some things that you might be seeing in the grade book that if you are the kind of person who has already gone through the syllabus or you went through it at the beginning of the year, then you probably already know these things, but that is not necessarily everybody. So I want to explain it now that some things are getting put in the grade book. So when you go into the grade book, your view is different than mine, and especially now that student view and teacher view are kind of getting all like a facelift because of all the new features that we have and everything. It's definitely going to look different, but the all the ideas are the same. So the first biggest thing that sometimes people are very confused about when they see our grade book in the sophomore team is why, even if I failed an assignment or even if I didn't turn it in, why is the lowest grade a 50%, like no matter what, how many points the assignment is worth? That is because we use this kind of idea in our grade book called 50 is the new zero, where the lowest grade that you can get on any given assignment is a 50%. That is kind of confusing for some people at first because you think, well, people are getting credit technically for not turning in anything sometimes. I don't know if you can all hear the police sirens that are behind me right now, but a police car is driving by. Row. Okay. But this was kind of a decision that our PLC, which is our sophomore team, came to after many, many years. And it makes the most sense for us because I don't know if you all have ever had like a zero go into the grade book, like just a straight up zero. And if you have, you know how intensely those zeros affect your grade, like quite disproportionately to what the effect on your grade should be. And so we are trying to prevent that. We're trying to prevent that moment where you forget to turn in one assignment and now you are basically like digging yourself out of this deep rut to try and get yourself barely back to where you were in the first place. So that does not happen with 50 is the new zero. It also makes sure that each letter grade is an equal amount. It's an equal 10%. So 50 to 60 is still an F, just like it is in when people use 0 to 100. 60 to 70 is a D, 70 to 80 is a C, et cetera, et cetera. So every letter grade takes up 10% as opposed to F taking up 60% of the entire grades you can get. If you would like to talk about it more, if you have any questions about that, then please feel free to email me or however you want to get in contact with me. You can do an office hour or something, and I would be happy to talk to you about 50 is the new zero. Another thing that you will see in our gradebook is a lot of assignments that are going to be not for grading. So like the one assignment that's in the gradebook right now is not for grading, which is why all your grades still say NA, because we will put many things in the gradebook that will be not for grading. And we want you to be able to see that maybe you did turn this in or you did do well on this practice, but whenever we have something that's a practice, that's just you like getting some reps in, kind of like if you're a sports person, you can literally think of it as like practicing before the game. So when you're practicing, you're not, nobody's like grading you on a practice. There's no score at practice. But once you get to the game, once you get to the real performance, that's when things start to get real. That's when things actually start to affect like your record, if you want to think of that as your grade. So once we get to like the final personal narrative, that writing, that's going to be the thing that goes in for a grade because you've had all this time to practice it, and all that practice was very low stakes. There's no risk of you trying something and failing because that doesn't affect your grade. And then hopefully that trying something and failing and learning from that is you can take that learning into the assignment that actually is for a grade. So just to kind of sum that up, anything that is not for grading is just going to be practice. And then anything that is for grading is kind of like the performance. It's like the test or the essay or things like that. Again, if you have any questions about that, feel free to email me or hit me up in office hours. And then one of the most common kind of like tags you'll see, or I guess they're technically called comments, is NHI, which stands for not handed in. So that is exactly what it sounds like. If you ever just don't hand something in, I just put in the tag NHI, and then you can see on this example on the right that if you do have an NHI, then it goes to the 50% because of 50 is the new zero. So just in case you see NHI and you're like, what is that? It means not handed in. And so that means that's something that you would probably want to hand in. Okay, now I'm going to do kind of a brief overview of our personal narrative that we are going to be writing within the next few weeks before first quarter ends. So remember, we're talking about personal narrative, which is a type of creative nonfiction writing, which I think I told you all is one of my favorites because you're playing off of your own personal experiences, but you're also being creative about it so that it's interesting to read and so that it's enjoyable to read. So we're focusing on these three main things, which is the introduction to the problem or the situation, the specific details and the sensory language and the vivid images, and then the conclusion, which half of you have watched the conclusion what's it called, Ed Puzzle, and half of you have not. So if you have not, you'll get to that on Monday. And if you have, then you know a little bit about how we conclude narratives. So those are the three things that we're kind of focusing on. In terms of the actual prompt, I'm pretty sure I've like vaguely talked about this with some classes, but what you're writing about is yourself as a learner. It's a relatively broad or vague prompt on purpose because we want you to be able to go in a lot of different directions with this. So you can talk about yourself as a learner in school, or maybe a lot of you have jobs. You can talk about yourself as a learner at your job, or even just, maybe a family member taught you how to like build a tree house and you learned that, and that tells us a lot about how you learn. Whatever makes the most sense for you, being able to tell us a narrative about who you are as a learner. Now, remember that this is not an academic essay. So Ms. Skoglund in our mini lessons has talked about that a lot. Like, you don't want to open up with an academic introduction and close with an academic conclusion, because ultimately this is still a narrative. So you're going to be telling a story, but stories can also tell us more than just what is literally going on. It can tell us deeper insights about you, and specifically you as a learner. So think of it less as again, an academic essay, and more as you're going to tell us a story, and we should be able to take something from that story about you. Okay, so in terms of what you are going to kind of be doing for the rest of your English time, first, I want you to make sure that any of the Ed puzzles or quick writes that we've done in class, you have done them. So I know some people maybe like weren't able to get all the way through the details Ed puzzle, and you can just go right back onto Ed puzzle. If you just log in, it'll still be sitting there. It should even save the place where you were at, so you don't have to like go back to the beginning and finish those up. Those are super important. Also, the quick writes are in the grade book as not for grading, as you saw. So you should be able to see if your quick write was not handed in, and you can go ahead and submit that using the links that are on the daily agenda. And then after you do that, or if you've already finished the Ed puzzles and quick writes, you just move straight to this. I want you to go back to your quick write, and then I have the plural S in parentheses, because again, half of you have done your details quick write and half of you have not. So it depends on if you have one or two quick writes. Just go back and look at what you wrote, and those should be in your digital notebook, remember? And I want you to find at least one, but honestly, you might find more than one, sentences that you think describe you as a learner, and go ahead and highlight those. And then we can kind of come back to them later when we are beginning to take pieces from your quick writes and decide, like, okay, this I maybe don't want to deal with, but this I want to expand on and bring that into a full-fleshed narrative. So those things that you highlight might be things that we want to revisit in about like a week or two. Okay, if you have any questions about anything, please do not hesitate to email me. My email is right there. Also, if you're watching this, office hours for the day have probably ended tragically, but we will have seminar next Tuesday, though by that time I'll probably have seen you all. So email is probably the best option. Also, the biggest reminder of all is to have an amazing weekend. Please, I've said this for the past like two weekends, but please get some rest. Resting is just as important as the hard work that you put in. And if you're not fully rested and fully rejuvenated after a weekend, you will not be able to do as well in school and feel as happy in school as you want to. So please get some rest in, do something for yourself. It's going to be nice outside. Theoretically, for all you people who in the roll call question said that you like the warmer like 70s and 80s, that's going to be this weekend. So go outside, do something nice, feel the sun on your skin, all these things. Again, just feel free to email me if you have any questions, and have a great weekend. Enjoy your Friday.